Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Master RKO from the RKO Network, and I'm bringing you another quick little video. It may be quick, it may not be. We'll see how long it goes. But basically, before we get into this, I just want to talk to you guys about the daily specials. Now, I've mentioned this in a couple of things, and I just want to make sure that everyone's doing it so that way they can get the most favor and the most gems before the full game finally comes out for Xbox, which also would mean that they would probably they would keep doing the daily, but it might not be for as much, and it just depends on what they think they're going to be doing, especially since the closed beta is quickly approaching. So every day, if you do have Smite, if you do have a beta code, make sure you're hopping on Smite every single day, even if it's not even to play, getting your gems, getting your favor, because you never know when there's going to be a sale for some of your favorite gods or goddesses. Now, as we're moving forward, we're actually going to be talking about the meta, picking your gods, and the rules that they're at. Now, first off, we're actually going to jump in here into a practice conquest so I can show you some of the places that you might be picking gods for. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be picking a jungler. Your junglers usually are assassins, but I'll get into that later. So basically what I want to do is I'm going to pick a jungler because that way everyone else can pick certain gods, and we can just kind of show you who's going to be where and why. Now, whenever you start a Smite game, you want to make sure that you have the right team composition. Now, what that means is all 5 of your characters are in their specific roles. If not, something may be off, something may cause the team composition to be more favored to one direction, not the band, and might leave some weaknesses. So as you can see, when you're playing with bots in a custom, they have their set picks and they have their set areas. So we're just going to be going over some of the roles, and then we'll show you who is going to go where. So maybe you can write some of these down. It'll help you out later, and maybe when it comes to picking areas, if one of your favorite gods are banned, you'll have a little understanding on what you're picking, where they're going to go on the Conquest map. Now, this is for Conquest only. There are different... There's kind of a meta. It kind of goes for different things, but just for now, we're going to be going with this one. So basically, I'm just going to go ahead and buy... I'm going to buy some boots just so I can get around a little bit faster. I'm going to show you where some of these gods are going to be playing. Now, first off, as you can see, I am a jungler as Loki. Now, jungler is going to be the person who's going to be one of the most important and most underrated positions on the Conquest map. Now, what I mean by that is jungler is going to be coming around getting buffs. Now, this is my usual route just for starting off. If I'm a jungler, I'm going to be starting at speed, getting speed buff, coming back over here, helping mana, and then doing whatever else after that. I'm sure there's other videos, and I'm sure I'll definitely have other videos about that later. But for now, we're not going to get into the rules. We're going to just talk about what they are. So, starting off, you have, of course, your jungler. Your jungler is going to be getting all the camps. He's going to be in the jungler most of the time. He's going to be helping the other laners clear lanes, push lanes, split pushing, and a bunch of other stuff. Now, when we start on the right side, we have solo lane. Now, solo lane is going to be what it sounds like. You're going to have your solo people. It's your solo. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm going to help him out a little bit. And he's basically going to just sit here in this right lane. Now, in order to tell which lane you're at, your solo laners are your right lane. Now, your junglers will also start in solo lane with your... but basically to help is what they're going to be doing. Your solo laners and your junglers are going to start in the right lane for only the first basically minute and a half to 2 minutes of the game. The reason is because eventually the junglers will peel off and go do their jungling and help out everyone else. But this is where you're going to start. You're going to start with your solo laners. Now it's all going to be on the right side of the map. This is where you're always going to start. It's going to be the short side of the map. Now, what do I mean by the short side of the map? Well, I basically mean this. You can see on the map, the Conquest map, where the towers are, and the towers indicate which side of the map you are on. Now, if the short side of the map is your right side, then your right side is your solo lane. As you can see, the towers are closer together on the right side than the left side. If you're starting on the other side of the map, your solo lane might be on your left side. All you have to do is look at which side the towers are shorter on, and if you're playing a solo character, that is where you're going to be going. Now, just because this is bots and I want to have some fun, I'm going to kill Thor. Why not? Alright, anyway, so we have the jungler, we have the solo. Let's go ahead and move into mid lane. Why did they call it mid lane? Because it's in the middle of the conquest map.
Your right tower is under
That usually isn't needed to be explained, but I figured I would do it anyway. Now, mid laners are going to be 100% your mages. Your mages are going to be in middle lanes. Sometimes you might see a couple different people like Loki can do mid, but in usual normal team comps you won't see that. Your mages will always be in mid, and mid lane is exactly it. That's where you're going to be. If you're playing someone they call mid, they're going to be going here. The main thing you need to worry about for mid lane is your mid camps whenever your jungle wants them, which are to the left and right of my white dot on the right on the minimap, as well as they will be getting damage buff to start off. Now, usually if I was playing a real game, since my mid went back, if I was jungling, I would push the lane and Anubis is going to follow me, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, after that, the last spots are going to be over here. Why is Anubis still following me? This is why I don't like bots. Bots ruin videos. Not true. Bots are fun. Okay, he finally left. But to finish off the roles, we're going to move into the left lane, and that is going to be your duo lane. Your duo lane is also going to be known as long lane. If you played League of Legends, it would be your bot lane, but for this, it's your duo lane. And basically, you're going to have a AD carry or attack damage carry and your support. Those are going to be your left lane, or for this, it's left lane, or your duo lane people. Now, the way you're going to figure that out, of course, is as you can see on the minimap, it's the lane where the longer distances between towers. So, of course, this is going to be your duo lane, or your long lane, and the short lane, of course, is going to be on your right side. And that's always when you're on the order side. Now, the order side, as you can see, is the white side where everyone's all cheery and happy. So if you really want to find a way to know and you're not really sure, just always know that if you're on the order side, or the side that has the white base, your duo is on your left and your solo is on your right. That is just the way it is. If you're on the order side, just imagine long lane is left. That's all you have to do. Long is left. Long is left. It works. LL. Long is left. If you're on the chaos side or the red side, then your solo is going to be left and your duo is going to be right side. So those are basically your roles. It's going to be the same every time. You're going to have your jungler, your right side, or your short side. I should stop saying right side because I keep looking at my minimap. Your short side is going to be your solo laners, your mid lane, and then you have your left side, dang it, your long side is going to be your duo lane with your supports and your AD carries. Now that's basically the meta for that. Let's actually return out of this lobby and go look at the way some of these gods might play, and look at some of the gods that might fill in these roles, just so you can maybe think about your team comp when you're picking and banning and doing your own thing. Alright, now that we're in the god selection, let's go through all the roles. Now, as you can see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, guess how many roles you have in a game? 5. Guess how many you only need in a game, and you should only be picking one god of? 5. So, when you're picking your gods, when you're playing Conquest, especially when it's picks and bans, you want to know who's being picked, what their class is, and where they're going to be going. So we'll start at the top, your assassins. Your assassins are going to be your junglers. They can solo lane, maybe, but they're most likely going to be your junglers. Some of them can mid lane if you're ballsy, like some people like to play mid Loki because they're like that. Which is not why I have the legendary Loki, but, you know. So your assassins are always going to be your junglers. They're going to be your fast movers, always getting speed buff, always watching where they're going, and helping out solo and everything else. So 100% assassins are jungling. So as you can see, here's some of the gods. If you want to pause the video at any point in time, look through some of these gods and see, hey, maybe you recognize one of these gods, or maybe you play them all the time and you were just playing them in the wrong spot. These are going to be your junglers. Now, jungling is definitely one of the most, I would say, hectic parts of the game, and it's a very crucial part of the game. It's very underrated. Most people don't look at it that way. They see a lot of times AD carry or mid laners are usually your main people, but without a good jungler, your team isn't going to be doing too well, because the other teams are going to be getting buffs and stuff, and you got to remember the other team's doing the exact same thing. So as we're moving forward, we're actually going to drop down and look at the guardians. Now, your guardians or your supports. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be your supports. Some of them try to jungle. It doesn't really work out too well. I've seen some try to solo. Also doesn't work out too well. So your guardians are not always going to be your supports. Ymir is one of your starters. He's probably one of the best supports you could have. Hades is a good one, and Ares is also a very good one. I would say the whole top row that you see right here, and actually pretty much all of these guys are really good at what they do. They have a lot of health with them. They have a lot of crowd control, and they're going to help your AD carry. Now, guardians are your supports, like I said, so they're going to be in the long lane with your AD carry. They're going to be, their main job is to make sure that the AD carry doesn't die. He gets free farm. He just keeps going and going. Maybe gets a kill or two and can push the lane. But one thing that supports really don't realize is if the AD carry is not there, if the AD carry keeps dying, or if your AD carry keeps missing his chance to farm or missing his chance to reap a kill or something, as a support you need to take that. Not all the time, but most of the time. If you see your AD carry falling behind, you have to balance the lane, because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is both of you are going to be falling behind in the lane. The other team is going to end up pushing the lane harder. You're going to end up losing that lane, and that's not a lane you want to lose. So when you're thinking about, as playing as a support, your role is just as important as everyone else. Support is probably either the first or second most underrated role. It has a lot to do with that lane. As much as AD carry is very important to that lane, if you don't have a good support, you're very squishy as an AD carry, and you're going to get rolled over. So here's some of the gods. Like I said before, you can pause the video at any time if you want to look at them. There's not very many of them right now, but I'm sure they're going to add some in later updates, so we'll just have to watch out for that. Now, speaking of AD carries, we're going to move into our hunters. Your hunters are 9 times out of 10 going to be your AD carries in that long lane with your supports. They're hunters. Most of them use bows. That's just the way it is. Some of them use different stuff. These are your attack speed and your attack damage. There's a reason they're called attack damage carry. This is your bread and butter. 9 times out of 10, someone first picks, it's either going to be either a god that just came in, that's OP, or it's going to be AD carry, or mage. That's your 1 through 3. AD carry is a very desired role, but it can also be a very complicated role if you don't know what you're doing, because there is some implications to it. Now, as the AD carry, of course, you're supposed to have your farm. It's going to be in your long lane. And as the AD carry, you need to make sure that you're pushing that lane past the other people, but not overextending, because if you get too far ahead of yourself, you're going to get more than likely ganked a lot. That's going to cause their team to get better at it. So it's more of a make sure you're moderating yourself as an AD carry, because what can actually happen, which I've seen happen, is an AD carry get overzealous, try to push down a tower, not realizing there's people in the woods getting ganked, dying. The other team goes over and pushes down 2 of his towers. Now that lane's pretty much lost. So, being the AD carry, and when it comes to team fights, you're going to be the fastest damage there. So you're going to be doing a lot of damage without your ultimates. Your ultimates 9 times out of 10 are going to be your intros or your ways of setting up kills. There's a word for it. I can't remember it right now. But, for instance, Neith's ultimate. 9 times out of 10, yeah, I typically use it the wrong way. That's just because, it's a cool ult to use. You can shoot someone across the map with it if it locks on. And it's a good way to finish someone off in a decent way. But at the same time, if someone's running away and you know that your teammates can get it, you can ult them, stun them, and then your team can get the kill. Xbalanque's ult's the same way. If you use it, it'll stun people. Cupid slows them down and gets a pretty good damage on them. Artemis's does some damage, but also stuns. I would say Onhers is the only one that really isn't. Onhers, maybe a couple others are really the only ones that aren't intro. But anyways, these guys are your AD carries. These are your bread and butter. Now moving on to your mages, these are your mid laners and your solo laners. I've seen Raw solo lane by himself because he has the heal. Kukulkan, Seen him do the same thing. Kukul Khan, whichever way you pronounce it. Kronos is a very good solo laner because of his speed. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. So I'm going to sit here, pause them for a little bit. These are going to be your mid laners or your solo laners. Most of the time, your mid laners. And, I mean, besides knowing what the gods are, there really isn't much to learn from mid lane. Besides, ward your area, get mid camps, push your lane. And finally, we're going to get to your warriors. Warriors are 9 times out of 10 going to be your solo laners. Some of them can jungle. I've seen Bologna jungle, who's so far the newest god for the Xbox. I've seen Wukong jungle. I have also seen Hercules jungle. These are going to be easy, great solo lane people because they have a natural tankiness. They don't have to build the damage, the tank items, the defense items if they don't want to. They can survive just off of their natural tankiness. But if they build that extra tankiness, they're really hard to stop, especially in team fights. Hercules is a top tier solo laner because whoever's in the other lane, if they don't pick someone like him, which normally when it comes to competition where there's picks and bans, you can't. You need to find that person that's going to be able to counter that tankiness, and usually they have a hard time doing it. So these are going to be your main solo laners. You can take a look at them now. I mean, solo lane can really vary in different places, but these are going to be your main people if you want to take them out. So I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to show you guys real quick the profile that I have. If you guys haven't seen the latest updates in a while, they put a profile up here. You can see which matches you play the most, how many gods you have unlocked, god skins, and other stuff, as well as what roles you play, what gods you play, histories, and worshippers for each one. So I want to do a quick update. I did an update on my phone, but I would just want to show you guys in a better light of what's going on right now. As you can see in the stats, I'm level 23, so I'm only 7 levels off from getting to the league, which is what I'm pretty much working for. Once you get to level 30, all you have to do is have 16 gods, and you can join the league. I'm not sure when they're going to unlock it, but I'm definitely working towards that. I also don't know what the shield in the upper right hand corner besides my level is. I think it has something to do with clans, but I'm not exactly sure. As you see below, I'm level 13. That is your masteries. That means that I have 13 gods mastered. So that means I at least have one level of mastery on 13 different gods. I'm working up to, I would say if I played them enough, I could get up to 16 in one day if I really just sat down and grinded them. But I'm not really working on that. The first god that I ever got mastered was Loki. Loki's probably my bread and butter god. I do really, really well with him. I would say Chalk, Anubis, Scylla. I would say from 1st to 5th, my best gods would probably be Loki, Chalk, Scylla, no, Anubis, Scylla, Thor. And then Neith would probably be 6th. Those would probably be my weighted, but as you can see, I've played certain ones a lot longer than I have. Neith was the main one that I first started out with. Went into Loki a little bit once I started playing as him. I played as him during the first free weekend. Found out that he was a very sneaky player. He was very chunk and run kind of player, and I really like those kind of sneaky in the bushes kind of players. So went in, unlocked him, and I've played with him ever since. And he's never really let me down. There's just been a couple times where I've gotten into situations where, can't get kills or whatever. But if I have a good game with him, usually I can be pretty unstoppable, especially early to mid game. So there's the worshippers. You can also go into history and see which games you've won and lost. Haven't really gone on a big win streak lately. I went on a huge losing streak earlier. The biggest win streak that I've had is like a 13 game win streak or something like that, or it was pretty huge. But that was before they brought in Conquest. That was when we just played Joust and Siege like crazy. And then, of course, here, as you can see, I played Loki most of the time. Scylla has now replaced Thanatos. I think Thanatos was up there. I keep switching in between the as you can see, the number 4. It started out as Chalk, and then I went to Thanatos, and now I'm Scylla. I've played with Scylla a lot. So, I'm pretty sure it goes by this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it does. It goes by worshippers. So, as you can see, Cupid might have been up there at one time. I don't remember. But, as you can see, I've been working on some of the gods and getting up to that league percentage. And finally, my game status is back up to 100% as well. So, I'm a good player now. The very first time they brought in bans for leaving games, I got lagged out of a game, and I think I forgot to pick a god one time or something like that, and it banned me, and I had like a 90-minute ban. But since then, I haven't been banned, so that's good news. But, you know, until then, I have some favor down at the bottom right-hand corner. You can see I don't have any gyms anymore. That'll start tomorrow when I get my days of the weeks. But until then, I'll be live streaming a lot more Smite when I'm playing, working my way to the league. Another thing that I want to mention just before I leave is that actually, me and one of my roommates, Wicked Gamer, we have actually started a 1v1 tournament. Now, it's not what you think a 1v1 tournament would be, where we have a bunch of people 1v1ing each other. It's actually here in Smite. We do a 1v1 with the gods. And it's basically all of the gods. I'm going to put on this because I don't want Daisy Despair playing anymore. Actually, we'll put it on the profile just so I can do that. But basically what we're doing is we took all the gods. We're just randomly going through them. We usually do it on the weekends. We go through every single god. We're just 1v1ing each other with all the gods, and we're seeing who plays who, and basically seeing out of all the gods who are going to win out of all of them, out of who plays who. So it's pretty interesting. A few of the matches that we've already had, I can show you real quick. Can't really show you, but it's on a piece of paper. We've had like Bakasur versus Sylvanas. We've had Mercury versus Ra. Bologna versus Jiangquei. Fenrir versus Isis. Wukong versus Guan Yu. Sobek versus Anubis. Thanatos versus Apollo. Chalk versus Niza. And we've just been doing all these different 1 versus 1s. And we're going to have all of them put together, and it's every single god, and eventually we'll get to the finals of which 2 gods are the best 1v1ers, I guess. I wouldn't really say that. But it's pretty fun. We'll definitely live stream. We'll live stream some of them. We're going to make some of them for videos and stuff, so it's going to be pretty interesting. As well as I definitely want to keep live streaming, especially when I get to league play. I will be live streaming that as much as possible. Also coming up, there's definitely going to be some more other streams. We've been playing, as you've seen, we've been playing Borderlands 2, as well as I think we're going to be streaming some Diablo eventually, and some other stuff. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoy. This is another Smite video. I hope you guys enjoyed the tips and tricks, and as always, leave a comment if you want to see more. Maybe you want to see a certain god played in a certain way. Maybe you want to see a tip or trick about a certain god. If you do, leave that in the comments, or follow me on Twitter or Twitch. And leave a like if you like the video, and if you want to see more like this, subscribe. And if not, and you want to see when I live stream, go to twitch.tv/MasterRKO lowercase m AST3RRK and a 0, and that will lead you to my Twitch, and you can favorite my Twitch, and that way every single time that I live stream, you will be able to know when I'm live streaming. It'll pop up as a notification, and you'll be known when I live stream. So, as always, I'm Master RKO from the RKO Network. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.